the things of International Women's Day on behalf of Sri Aurobindo Society and Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. I welcome you all for today's celebration. There is a panel discussion on measuring women's contribution to culture, key factors for achieving sustainable growth. Today is really an auspicious event because we are a day celebrated, devoted to the International Women's Day. So before we proceed further, I would like to welcome today's dignitaries on the dais and of the dais space. So first of all, I would like to welcome our esteemed Pradeep Naran, the chairman of Sri Aurobindo Society, who is heading this department and under Sri Aurobindo Society, and under the dynamic leadership of Pradeep and the management. The society is spreading like a banyan tree, more than 300 branches all over India, and working on many sectors including education, health, culture, sustainable development, and as far as the cultural sector is concerned, special emphasis has been given to explore, to rediscover the spirit of Indian culture, and we are working on different dimensions, community-based activities, implementing research projects in many sectors to explore the real spirit of the Indian culture. So I would also like to invite today's our chief guest, Professor Amaresh Samantraiji. I request our esteemed Pradeep Bhai to kindly felicitate our chief guest. May I request Pradeep Bhai to kindly welcome our Mrs. Gayatri Panda, the Nodal Officer, State Coordinator for the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, please. I'd like to introduce today's chief speaker and the guest from the Ministry of Tourism. Professor Amaresh Samantrai is a PhD from University of Hyderabad, and he is presently working as a professor in the Department of Economics, Pondicherry University. Previously, he held the position of registrar at the Pondicherry University as well. As a professor in economics, Professor Samantrai teaches courses on macroeconomics, theories of economic growth and applied economics. He is also a visiting faculty to Indian Institute of Management, IIM Kozhikode, Reserve Bank Staff College, RBSC Chennai. And earlier, Professor Samantrai had worked as an economist in the Reserve Bank of India, Mumbai, in various capacities in the Department of Economic Analysis, Policy, Monetary Policy Department, and many sectors. On deputation from the RBI, he also served as the economist to the government of Andhra Pradesh and officer on special duty to the chairman, 12th Finance Commission, New Delhi. He has published numerous research papers in various professional journals, including Asian Economic Review, Political Weekly, Empirical Economics, etc. He has also published a book entitled Conduct of Monetary Policy in India, Changing Dimensions in the Past Reforms Period. He has been writing columns in leading business newspapers in India, including the Hindu Business Line and the Business Standard. I welcome Professor Amaresh Samantraiji for sparing his valuable time for today's event. I would also like to invite Ms. Gayatri Panda. She is the Nodal Officer for Developing and Promoting Tourism in Puducherry in association with Government of Puducherry and stakeholders. Basically, when this Pondicherry Heritage Festival started, we came in contact with the Ministry of Tourism's initiatives and their interest to be associated with the Heritage Festival. But when everything was finalized, so we just thought to include the ministry in some of the events. So they are also partnering with the Pondicherry Heritage Festival Committee, and 15th of March they have a symposium on responsible tourism. And as far I think this is a really good opportunity to collaborate with the Ministry of Tourism, because the ministry has many schemes to develop the tourism sectors, and I think Pondicherry is really an unique environment to discover the built, the tangible and the intangible cultural heritage, including the national things. So this is really a matter of great pleasure for us to welcome you for this today's event. I also welcome our today's speakers. our guest speaker from Dr. Nalini from Pondicherry University, my colleague Dr. Begu Mehra from AuroBharati Sri Aurobindo Society, Madam Ashita Ragadesi is the secretary from Crafts Council, and Dr. Sundar Murugan is from the founder of Abai NGO. We have our colleague Shweta, and she is the director of Auroyagya, and Ratiji from the Women Council is looking after the activities of the Women Council. So I also welcome all the audience, those who have joined for this today's event, and I request esteemed Pratibhai to kindly say a few words in this occasion, please.
Welcome, friends. Today is the International Day of Women, so it's very appropriate that we meet today and discuss the contribution, specifically the contribution of women in the field of culture. I was very happy to see Professor Samantarai, an economist, at a function like ours where we were going to discuss culture. So then I realized that economist is relevant in any field today. Without economics, nothing works, really speaking. And I'm very happy that we're here today because we are talking of the development of Indian culture in various fields, encouraging certain arts and crafts in certain areas, and specifically how we can fund these projects and bring them to fruition, where your role becomes very, very relevant. I'm an economist, as in studied economics, but for me 2 + 2 still remains 4. Economics has changed, the whole facade of economics has changed, and but one thing is definite, that we can't do without economics. Today we are meeting for this specific purpose. We are discussing culture and tourism, and Gayatri is here from the tourism department. And we have representatives from the field where this work is really taking place. And so, in whatever ways Sri Aurobindo Society can be of any collaboration, we'll be very happy to do so. Because the mother has spoken in no uncertain terms the role of women in all dimensions of life. In India, the role of women was diminished for some reason over a period of time in the past. And to that extent, I think India has suffered. Indian culture has suffered. And the trying to diminish feminine power has weakened India. Luckily, fortunately, things are changing, and we find the women coming back with gusto in all the dimensions of work, especially in business, economics, in culture, and we can't do without Shakti. Just as we can't do without economics, we can't do without Shakti. And we go into our past, we go into our Shastras, and we realize the supreme importance of women, where a yajna could not take place unless the wife was there on the right side of the king. Rama had to wait because Sita was not there. So this is the importance of the feminine power that the Divine has spoken of. And Mother has drilled it into our heads as to what really the true role of women is. And today we want to discuss that in culture. As you know, Sri Aurobindo has written about Indian culture in a very intensive, very extensive manner. He wrote this book, Foundation to Indian Culture, as a reply to a book written by someone raising a question whether India was civilized. And in answering this question, he has opened this whole treasure of Indian culture. Is and everything to be known about Indian culture is there in this book. I'm sure the speakers will touch upon this, and I really wish all the very best for and really something a big outcome should come out of this. And tourism is a subject today which is very hot in Pondicherry. We have, in the sense that so many tourists are coming. Some of us are very happy about it, some of us are very unhappy about it. We don't know how to deal with these people, but we're very happy that they're coming. And of course, as hosts, we welcome all tourists who come here. But we do hope that in future we'll be able to look after them better than what we are doing today. It's so we have tourism, and we have this is open of the discussion on this particular subject. And Kishor, will you take it up from here, please?
Thank you, Pradeep Bhai, for your inspiring words. And really, there are many sectors, especially when we talk about Puducherry's reach and diversity of cultural expressions, and in terms of the tangible and intangible cultural heritage. And when we talk about the role of women, especially for the sustainable growth, this is really one of the challenging subjects where a lot of research and activities needs to be carried out. We'll definitely work in this manner and to achieve the results. Thank you so much, Pradeep, for your inspiring words. And may I request our esteemed guest today, Professor Amresh Samantaji, to kindly speak on this occasion, please.
Respected Chairman, Mr. Pradeep Naranji, from Minister of Tourism, Dr. Tripathy, Member Secretary of the Society, and distinguished panel members and participants of today's discussion. Now let me first begin with by wishing Happy International Women's Day and Happy Holi to all the people who have gathered here. It is of course a great pleasure for spending some time with you and discussing about particularly sustainable development. And begin with thanking Dr. Tripathy for inviting me and giving this opportunity here. Given that we have speakers from various backgrounds, I thought from the topic I will focus on sustainable growth and development, which is closer to my discipline. I'm happy that our chairman has some background in economics, but I don't know if other people who are present here, they have some background. The first formal book in economics was written sometime in 1776, some 250 years before, by a British economist, Adam Smith. I think that is the first book which is comprehensively some sort of documented the ideas about economics emerging in British and around in Europe. But perhaps much before that, the ideas on some aspect of economics was already written by Kautilya, in Kautilya Shastra. But given that Indian ideas, Indian work is not marketed, not popularly discussed in international forums, so I think that remained in the background. Now, in this book, he had focused on economic growth. The title of the book is Wealth of Nations. So the prime objective is how to, some sort of achieve rapid economic growth in a particular country. In economics, we have focus. Our focus is relatively narrow compared to culture and some broad things. Our focus is some sort of looking at the standard of living of a person. So by standard of living, we mean whether somebody is having nutritious food, comforts of life. So more of materialistic pleasure and achievements. So in economic growth, we basically measure at what rate the total production in a country is expanding over time. So total production generates income. Basically, those people who are contributing for production, they get income out of it, and they spend that in buying various goods and services, which we call consumption. So that way, maximizing consumption, maximizing or improving standard of living was the prime objective of this knowledge of economics, which was emphasized by Adam Smith, which I think our chairman will agree. Now, beyond a point of time, it was realized these ideas, how to expand your output, consumption, etc., these ideas and its applications confined to today's OECD countries, mostly Western Europe, America, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. And these ideas could not be replicated in many developing and poor countries of Asia and Africa. So basically, in any discipline, whether it's physics, chemistry, literature, there is some utility in each discipline where it is used, the ideas from that discipline is used for improving the human life in one way or other. So in economics, main focus is improving consumption of people through production income generation, so that they have better sort of material living. The major issue, the major focus was if we can save more, this saving can be invested in setting of factories, buying machines, and that will help with more production. The countries of Asia and Africa, they were suffering because they had already a low level of income. With low level of income, almost entire income was existed, and so there was very little is left out for saving, and they were trapped under poverty for quite some time. So some thinkers started talking about development. They moved from economic growth to development because these ideas of growth were not able to replicate it in poor countries. So in development, some sort of policy prescriptions are there through which a poor country can gradually raise saving with a conscious and coordinated policy, and they can gradually reach the level of the rich income country income level. Then afterwards, last 50 years or so, people realize if you keep on expanding production, then that is basically causing lots of pollution, and lots of non-renewable energy is getting depleted. So if we are thinking in terms of intergenerational economic welfare, then maybe after 100 years, after 200 years, there will be issues. Our future generation will not have enough resources like coal or minerals, which they can use for production and have a good life. So then this concept of sustainable development was introduced, where we will not only focus on economic welfare of the present generation, we have to have an intergenerational perspective and think in terms of maximizing production, consumption, etc. over a longer period of 100 to 100 years. Then I think from that sustainable development, the sustainable goal, which we had, millennium goals, sustainable goals are related to that. So as part of the sustainable goals, empowering women, improving the equality, gender equality, or across the sexual income inequality, etc., all those things were emphasized. Now, on the day of when we are celebrating International Women's Day, there I also like to discuss something about the importance of empowering all sections of society. Whether in India we talk about the disadvantaged sections of society, or it is about women who are relatively neglected. So, by the way, I think to my understanding, the women in India were well respected historically. If we go back to the scriptures, as it was mentioned about little before, women had a special role. But I heard a spiritual leader who was talking about so-called weakness, which was some sort of associated with women by some people. Maybe it was because of the division of labor. The men had good muscle power. So in ancient days, when it was suppose human being lived as a hunter-gatherer, maybe the male had advantage with that regard, and the female, the women folk stayed at home to take care of the family. So it was more of going by the advantages or disadvantages related to physique, muscle power. There was a division of labor. It was not inferior superior thing, but maybe over time that got a negative connotation. But today, when we are using a machine to work, and most of our work is some sort of idea-driven or skill-driven, so maybe the role of muscle power, the difference is reduced. So in today's society, that's how there is some sort of parity is achieved, whether you take in IT sector or finance, banking, most of the sectors wherever we are using machines, there is this distinction is disappearing, and there is a encouragement that women are assuming more importance in society in formal work, in informal job and services. But even in the earlier days, when they stayed at home, their contribution for the family and society cannot be undermined, because the very services they give as a mother, sister, or daughter are definitely quite critical for overall welfare of the family and the society. Now, I was telling, last 20 years in economics, we talk about institutional economics. So, in institutional economics, we basically emphasize the role of institutions, political institutions or economic institutions, which have a special role. Prior to that, the emphasis, when people talked about different level of economic progress across the countries, they assign these differences to culture, to geography. If we think of countries in tropical region where, because of high temperature or lots of tropical disease, people suffer. So generally, actively participating in economic activities were challenging. On the contrary, in Western Europe or Japan, where the weather is more conducive and cold environment, people can work for longer hours. And similarly, the landlocked countries like Nepal, so they had disadvantage in terms of trade. So on the contrary, all the cities which are around the sea coast, they had advantage of foreign trade, and they progressed in a faster way. So maybe 20 years before, people were giving emphasis to differences in geography, in culture, to sort of discuss about differences in economic standard across the countries. And recently we are talking about institutional factors, because you take country like South Korea, North Korea, there is some same culture, same geography, but one is one of the richest countries of the world, and another is one of the poorest. Similarly, if you think of the southern part of America, northern part of Mexico, in terms of geography may be very similar, but there is a distinction in terms of economic progress. Even in our own country, I was just before some time I was talking to Naranji. So generally it is believed the western part of our country and southern part of our country is economically relatively more developed compared to the northern and the eastern part. Here, there is a role of institutions. The way the property rights are, honored, the way, corruption, the level of corruption is prevailing. All these things, which are related to institutions matter a lot. So I'm not, elaborating in details about that, but one issue which is related to the today's day, women empowerment, I'll just focus on that and then I'll stop. In this institutional economics, we talk about those societies, like I'm talking about South Korea or US or all these Western European countries. In these countries, the economic and social institutions were such which provided adequate opportunity for every citizen to exploit their potential to the fullest level. So as long as our institutions are inclusive, they provide opportunity to everybody to exploit their potential to the fullest level, then these countries progressed and they became, today's OECD members, the countries of the rich countries club. On the contrary, those countries where the social and economic institutions or political institutions were restricted, that didn't allow accession of the society to fully contribute to the economic welfare, there the countries suffered, they remain poor like most countries in Asia and Africa. The way today, because of access to education, because of openness in the society, which facilitated our the women to participate, acquire skills and then participate in job, I think good days are coming. And there have been economic data which supports this. After in Western Europe and America, when the ladies started participating in the labor force, there was a significant jump in their economic progress. And last 30 years, if you observe after the reforms, in India also our economic growth has progressed at a much faster rate compared to prior to 1991. So here there is also, it's not a matter of coincidence. During this period, we see the female literacy rate, female participation in the workforce has improved, and definitely that has contributed, at least in part, towards this rapid economic growth which we achieved in the last 30 years. So, taking cue from that, basically, I think my colleagues will talk about more how the women empowerment, particularly in culture, will be helpful for sustainable development. So my objective was to basically link it to economics and talk about it about economics so that it will be easier for you to take it further. So I'll stop here, and before I stop, I again thank the Aurobindo Society for giving me this opportunity to be here and share my thoughts with you, random thoughts with you. Thank you.
When we are listening to you, given us a lot, great deal of knowledge. We are talking about culture. And Sri Aurobindo has, in Foundation of Indian Culture, he has been very specific that a civilization which does not encourage and strengthen the local culture of the country, the civilization has failed. He is in very specific terms, yes. And unless our policies are geared to developing and preserving the culture of the country, growth, of course, we seem to lose our moorings when we lose touch with our culture. And that cannot be allowed to happen. And if that happens, then we begin to flag in all fields. Hence, today's discussion on women and also on Indian culture has a lot of importance. And sustainable development, of course, without economics is not possible. It's all a combined effort from different dimensions of life. So I would request our speakers to emphasize this question of women and culture and the role that it's playing today.
Thank you, Professor Amresh Samandraji, for presenting innovative ideas how this evolution of culture and the sustainable process by giving examples from the India and the cross-cultural scenario. And also thank to Mr. Pradipbhai for his remarks. And may I now request the State Coordinator for Puducherry, Gayatri Pandaji, to kindly speak a few words. Is sufficient, please.
Namaskar. I am Gayatri Panda, State Nodal Officer from the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. My heartfelt gratitude to Sri Aurobindo Society, Pradeep Sir, Tripathy Sir and Charu Ma'am, and Pondicherry Heritage Festival for inviting me on this special day of International Women's Day and to interact with you all. As we all celebrate each year our economical, sustainable and cultural achievements driven by many women leaders across globe, we have come across many women leaders who are doing great things in different parts of world. I wanted to highlight few things what Ministry of Tourism is, how it is encouraging and supporting women in the field of tourism sector. So as we all know, I would like to tell 50% of tourism jobs are held by women. So that is a major contribution women is having in the tourism sector. According to the changing scenario in the market strategies and the economic things, many women should take up jobs in tourism and in different sectors. So Ministry of Tourism with many infrastructural projects is encouraging all the women in and around the locality. For example, as I am being deputed here as a state nodal officer for Puducherry, we will be doing many development activities for Puducherry, Karaikal, Mahe, Yanam in holistic approach, which will be having a sustainable and a responsible impact to the locality. In that approach, we will be doing all the things. In addition to that, starting if we come to a sector for education, Ministry of Tourism has many institutions. For example, Indian Institute of Travel and Tourism Management. From Bhubaneswar, I am the alumni, and there are across 5 institutions all across India who provide education on tourism and logistics. There are many educational institutions which provide hospitality and culinary arts, and many other handicraft training institutes are also there, which empowers rural women and city women also to take up the courses and to start their contribution in those fields. Now, as we can see, from the traditional methods, we are shifting into the digital ways according to the time. So now Ministry of Tourism is encouraging all entrepreneurs, by giving trainings and by giving many different schemes, policies are made and many stipend programs are made, which will encourage local artisans and homemakers who can take up many programs which will help them to gain the livelihood in a better way. I felt very happy seeing women entrepreneurs and global leaders in Puducherry, like ma'am sitting over here, Shitara ma'am. When I met her, she is doing great in crafts, handicrafts, and encouraging many local women. And Beju ma'am also, she is contributing a lot in cultural heritage and throwing light of to the many people. And I also felt happy seeing Sunena ma'am, then Bitasha ma'am, Asha ma'am, Kakoli ma'am. They are doing really a change, and they have started. They are doing so much great things in Pondicherry, and with all these responsible tourism activities, they are approaching to the common people. So, with the help of that, Ministry of Tourism wants to support in each and every segment in the local way. And I would like to tell the morning session, we have started a women's self-help group in Alankuppam village, where we are supporting the artisans, women artisans specifically, in developing the handicrafts, agriculture, then cooking local cuisines, and in many ways we are supporting to encourage and to come up with new ideas. We are helping them. I would like to conclude my talk over here. I can see there are more experienced persons. I would like to know more about them and what is happening over here. So I would like to conclude by telling that we being a women, I can say we should support each other intellectually, politically, economically, and in all the ways how we can support each other to grow and to attain equality in the coming generation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gayatri Pandaji, for presenting the aims and objectives of the Ministry of Tourism. And I am very happy to see one of the nodal officials which the ministry has deputed to explore the rich heritage of Puducherry. And I feel very glad also because I was part of the Ministry of Culture of the Government of India for 12 years, including the sister organizations. We have worked on many sectors, including nomination of yoga to the intangible cultural heritage of humanity to UNESCO, developing one of the PMO Prime Minister Office project, that is the Vedic Heritage Portal, that is yet to be officially released, and many other schemes to safeguarding the tangible and intangible cultural heritage, and to developing the projects related to tourism for creating a better society, and using these tools how a society can be better lived and how we can be part of the integral process. I hope there are many schemes and it is yet to be implemented by the state government. The central government has many schemes. And as far as the AuroBharati's initiative is concerned, we are working on the intangible cultural heritage, the Indian knowledge traditions. Also, we are trying to explore India's cultural relationship with the other countries in the light and the message of the Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. We have also specific community-based activities which we will start soon with these artisans and exploring the artistic communities, how can they be part of the sustainable process. And once again, thank you so much for your valuable feedback. And now we will start today's proceedings. The measuring women's contribution to culture, key factors for sustainable growth. When we refer to our tradition, there is a saying, Yatra Naryastu Pujyante, Ramante Tatra Devata. When women are worshipped, their divinity prevails and shines. If we refer to our tradition, we find there is a great combination of Shiva and Shakti, the matter and the spirit concept is there. If we refer to the Vedas, we find some of the female seers. They have developed the integral knowledge system like Vishwara, Lopa, Kodha. So we have a rich tradition starting from the Vedic period to the modern times. Those who have explored, the enriched, the rich tradition to explore and to sustain the process. Sri Aurobindo, while talking on the Divine Shakti, speaks on the four primordial aspects of the Mother, that is Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi and Mahasaraswati. And today on this auspicious and special occasion, when we talk about this International Women's Day, and we can, at least one day we can realize what exactly the role of the woman to shaping in society. We find a mother, a sister, a wife, many sectors, many themes we find how a woman's role can contribute and how they have developed a spirit of uniqueness to shaping the society. And to recognize this, the contribution of a woman, it was in 1977 when the first International Women's Day was recognized. It was the day to recognize the contribution of the women in different sectors. So today we have learned speakers with us, and they will be talking on different aspects, but even if in the contemporary scenario also we find the contribution of women, especially in the field of culture. Take the example of Madurai Shivalakshmi, how they have enriched the tradition through the performing the visual arts. I would like to take 3-4 names here, like Dhruvi Acharya, the visual artist, the Bengal Pota artist, that is Manimala Chitrakar, the Latika Katha, the sculpture, the folk dance from the Kodagu Aranimachaya, the Siddhi tribal social worker and leader Hirabai Govi, the singer Bani Jairam. Those have immensely contributed to the cultural and sustainable growth. And we feel that a lot of work has to be done in terms of these capacity building programs, giving training to the women groups, those who are particularly contributing to the area of culture. And to address this issue, so we have invited eminent speakers today. I would like to introduce first. We have Dr. R. Nalini from Pondicherry University. She is the professor of Department of Social Work, School of Social Sciences and International Studies, Pondicherry University. She is having a PhD in social work, a social work practice in industry, a study of select industrial organizations from the Tata Group from University of Delhi. Her specialization includes social work at the workplace, corporate social responsibility, social work research, gender and work, women and disability, social work and education setting. Today, Dr. Nalini will be speaking on substance abuse, its impact on women and culture. We have Sitaraji, one of the very famous and well-known figure in Puducherry. She is a social entrepreneur, a women's rights activist, environmentalist, counselor of and craft enthusiast. She is the founder secretary of Crafts Council of Puducherry. She is also a member of the Pondicherry Crafts Council of India (CCI), founder and promoter of the Andhara Crafts and Organic Personal Care brand. She has received many awards, including Entrepreneur of Year, Red FM 2015, Power Women Summit in 2019, Manipal, Karnataka, and Best Sustainable Product Award, Sustainable India Awards in 2022. She will be speaking on the topic Women, Culture and Entrepreneurship. We have our colleague Rati Rekhaji. She has been associated with Sri Aurobindo Society since 2010. She is currently editing Awakening, a monthly bulletin published by Sri Aurobindo Society. She has a degree in applied science. Nevertheless, she is passionate about art, literature, and poetry. She will speak on women, her strength, and beauty. We have our colleague Shweta. She is the director of AuroBharati, having a master's in business administration in studies. She is currently looking after the work related to AuroBharati, the Sri Aurobindo's active message to promoting the integral yoga. She will be joining with us soon. And she will speak on the topic Time for Being Women or a Human, Contemplation on the Guardians of the Mother for Future of Women. We have our colleague Dr. Belu Mehra, the senior academic mentor and the editor of Society's monthly online journal Renesa. She has a PhD in Education Organizations and Leadership from University of Illinois, USA, and has extensive experience of teaching and research. She has worked in the area of Sri Aurobindo studies since 2007 at Sakar and Sri Aurobindo Society as well. And she will talk on of women, dharma, and socio-cultural evolution. We have our eminent, one of my good friends, Dr. Sundar Muruganji, is the founder of Avai NGO. Dr. Sundar Murugan was born in Puducherry. He has pursued his master's in Tamil literature and holds a PhD. He knows Tamil, English, and Hindi. He is a writer, poet, literary critic, and translator. When I was part of the National Academy of Letters, Ministry of Culture, the Government of India, he was part of our General Council's members. And we have a good relationship since more than 5 years, and he is contributing in many sectors in promoting the Tamil literature and more especially working for the children through his activities. So we have today a good number of learned speakers, those will be speaking on this occasion. And on behalf of Sri Aurobindo Society and the Ministry of Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, I welcome today's speakers, especially on this auspicious occasion. And we will start with Dr. R. Nalini's presentation on this. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to all of you and all the delegates on the dais, and the delegates will be speaking after me. Very happy Women's Day and happy Holi. Today, before I start my discussion, I am from the field. I am a social work person. We work closely in the field. So my topic may be a bit tangent. It could be very different from the other angles that we are looking at. But I am thankful to our economics professor Join from a university who set the ball rolling by talking about the economics of development, where women have a key role to play, and therefore directly or indirectly, whether they get pulled into it and how they have an equally important role to play in the culture, in preserving culture. And I'm not only talking about artists, I'm not talking about people who are in self-help groups or who are more privileged, but I'm talking about, in this context, women from especially the lower economic strata, and especially in the context of Pondicherry, because today I'm going to talk about a matter of serious concern because I'm closely working in this field. I have been working with 4 projects already. This is the 4th project on substance abuse, especially in the context of Pondicherry, and how it's impacting women and culture. So, in the year 2019, finally the government accepted, saying that yes, this problem needs to be addressed, and we had a survey in the year 2019, the first ever national survey of substance use, prevalence of substance use and abuse in India, where all the states and union territories were covered. The survey was taken up under the funding of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment by AIMS, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And I'd like to give you the figures, how many households were contacted. It was around 2,11,000 households that were contacted for this survey. And in the age group of 10 to 75 years, 10 to 75, the survey took place, and individually they had gone to more than 73,000 odd individuals. And these are the individuals who were identified as being alcohol or drug dependent, apart from the 2,11,000 households that were contacted. And all the union territories and all the states of India were covered in this research, which in itself is the first ever after independence. And can we have any guesses about how many crores are there? I'll give you half the answer. How many crores of Indians are into alcohol use? Any guesses? 16 crores. 16 crores only in alcohol. We are not talking about the other drugs, cannabis, heroin, and all those drugs. We are not talking about that. And in this context, especially, I would like to highlight Puducherry. I'm happy we have the tourism who's who, and we have renowned economists, and we have a very good, the best of the societies, Sri Aurobindo Society working for the public. In Puducherry, the national level, that is, we have a less number, maybe 18.5 users of alcohol consume alcohol in a dependent manner. That is, more than 40%, that's 48.3%. Let's say if there are 100 people drinking alcohol, 48% are using it in a dependent manner, which means they can't stop. They are alcoholics. And how many de-addiction centers we have? We all know it's very, very much lesser. And we have mushroom growth of de-addiction centers, but we don't know how it is currently functioning. And so, what the government of India says that around 5.3% of Pondicherry's drinking population, they need support. They need support from the Social Welfare Department, from the Health Ministry for coming out from this problem. So if it is 48%, this is only individuals. Think about economists and social workers. One person needs 4 members in the family. Family size of decent size of 4. So 48% into 4%. So it's a mind-boggling number. But what generally we assume, the survey also says that there are more adult men in Pondicherry and India who are into alcohol, or for that matter substance use and abuse, but women are also abusing. And for every 17 males, there is 1 female who is into substance abuse. But what we generally don't do research much on, or we generally try to underplay, is the kind of impact that it has on the women. So I have been having a lot of research in this factor. Like to begin with, we did a feasibility research with an NGO which was wanting to help its women to start enterprises, social enterprises. Now we are into a lot of social entrepreneurship, and we wanted to know which women would be interested. And these are basically women from the slums with whom this NGO is already working. And out of the 38 women whom we asked, all the 38 wanted to be part of this social entrepreneurship program, out of which 36 women said that their husbands were alcoholics, and that was the reason that they want to take up this additional source of income, because they want to support their families. The next interaction was where with another NGO in Aurobindo. We had 4 focus group discussions, only with wives of alcoholics, precisely with widows of alcoholics. and the age ranged from 18 to let's say 60. And we had 4 focus group discussions. Each group used to have nothing less than 20 women, and we are documenting that. And the one thing that is very clear is the economic distress, apart from the other distress, that solely they are responsible for taking care of their children and with almost nil support. Why I'm saying all this, I mean, this is all economic, but of course we can't ignore the cultural aspect of it. And then currently, we are doing a project. I'm the principal investigator, and Dr. Iftikhar Anand in my department is a co-principal investigator. We have taken up a project by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment towards the drug-free Puducherry. And now we are working with 64 student peer educators. These 64 student peer educators were identified after sessions, after workshops in all these colleges. So out of 1,400 odd students, we have taken these 68 students, and we are working in 10 different communities. We are doing survey, that is KAP, that is the knowledge, attitude, perception on use and abuse of alcohol and substances in Pondicherry, and we see that this problem in all the 10 communities which we have chosen is quite rampant. And of course, the most important point here is the burden is on the woman, whether she's widowed or she's single, for all practical purposes. And just one day ago, from 1st to 7th of March, I was in Karaikal for a rural camp with our first year students. It's part of the curriculum, and there also when we did a research, when we had a household survey, we found that it's almost 90% of the small village, Nallandu in Tirunelveli commune, alcoholism was rampant. What is one thing that coming out of all this is that alcoholism is a family disease. We all know that alcoholism is a treatable disease. It can't be cured though, it can be treated. So we find that it's a family disease. But the saddest point is that we generally undermine the burden that it places on the woman with regard to, let's say, being the caregiver. She's she has to. She's a caregiver for the family, caregiver for the woman, for the husband, because she covers up whatever is happening in the family. And with regard to what is happening to the family, mother always speaks about children, childhood, happiness, and how it is very important for a holistic development. And Sri Aurobindo also emphasizes on the need for a psychological and holistic approach to development. But when you look at this, you find that every way all these concepts are being threatened, because when a person is alcoholic, he or she is not able to perform her duties the way they have to be performed. And forget about the interpersonal and social problems that go with it, because generally we find they are isolated, and not only they are alcoholic, the entire family gets isolated, and all the other things that are important to the family, including education, health, recreation, savings that Sir was talking about, financial self-sufficiency, all that takes a backseat. You're only battling the everyday life of how to work with this alcoholic, how to make this family, how to make both the ends meet, and the most affected are the children. So in this entire gamut, there is culture, the impact on culture. Firstly, we find that the social relationships is totally, it's nowhere there, it doesn't get discussed at all. And the other thing is, it's becoming antisocial. There's a lot of crime. Once we say that alcoholism is a multi-dimensional social problem, because when there's an alcoholic at home, you can have all the problems that you can think of, starting from the economic deprivation, health, their health is not attended to, children are worst neglected, there is a lot of child abuse, there is of course domestic violence, children learn all the wrong things, and most importantly, you find that there is also suicides in the family. Either the alcoholic commits a suicide or it's a woman. So ultimately, the family as a social unit, which we consider as the primary social institution that is expected to preserve the culture of a society, just disintegrating. We are really worried about in these contexts, because we find that we are not looking into these issues seriously. We just take it as an alcoholic's problem is an individual family's problem, and I think it is impacting us because the woman is impacted. told you, I would like to conclude quickly. I have taken some time, but I thought all of us should know this. We need to discuss this and we have to find solutions together because the burden on the women, as I was telling you, caregiver burden, coping. There are two ways of coping, either avoidance or tolerance, not the Western concept of, they know how to engage and how to solve the problem because economically they are more independent, but here they either tolerate or either avoid solving this problem, and they therefore live with the stress every day, and that takes a toll on the mental health of the woman. Forget about physical health, mental health of the woman is never, when they come to the hospital, they're already in a psychological emergency. Very rarely we find women going to doctors in the initial stages itself, especially a psychological emergency can be disastrous, keeping in mind the children in the family because they get to see their mothers in a psychological emergency. And the other way, the woman now takes up the responsibilities. She is distancing herself and the children from socialization and any form of family interactions. So the children also are isolated and they also undergo a lot of mental distress. So much so that when we deal with an alcoholic, we have to deal with them as a family. And we find among women there is a lot of mental health issues such as depression. Very commonly we find depression, anxiety and stress, which needs, when we look at it in all these contexts, today's topic, like how the role of women in culture and sustainable growth. So I think if we need to look at it in a holistic pattern, I think we need to address this issue. If we are able to eliminate alcoholism, which I keep saying in every forum, if we are able to eliminate alcoholism, how? When we go and talk in forums, the first thing the students also ask is, there are so many outlets, there is so much of supply, but our focus is on demand reduction. So we are working with youngsters. We are now making them to comment themselves as PDLs, positive deviant leaders, which means we find, interestingly, I'll conclude with this, interestingly we find that these positive deviant leaders, there are two types of responses to this from the youngsters. One, when they see their fathers or their elders in the family abusing alcohol or that matter substance, they take it as a license for them to do the same thing as they grow up. Two, what is very encouraging is consciously the youngsters, I'm talking about boys also, who consciously make a choice of not to touch any kind of substance because they've seen their families and especially the fathers just melt in front of their eyes. A person who they have a lot of respect to, being reduced to a drunkard, so they have made a conscious choice not to be in that field, not even touch it. And this was also reiterated by experts who came and spoke to our peer educators in the training program. We had a 5-day intense training program for student peer educators before they went to the community, and we found that this was what these trainers also told them, doctors, psychiatric social workers, telling them that we have a history of alcoholism in the family, so we decided not to touch it at all. So I think we all have this responsibility of working together, especially in the context of Pondicherry, if we want to make Pondicherry progress in the true sense of the word, and if we want our youngsters and the youth to be in line, to be with us in our zest or enthusiasm for sustainable growth. With those few words, I thank Sri Aurobindo Society for this opportunity, and I look forward to working with all of you in this moment.
One question, it's a mind-boggling scenario that you have painted before us. We are all aware of this menace of alcoholism, and you said 48% is not just alcohol, not other substances. This is huge situation. And what triggers off this? What the survey, you said you had first survey, what triggers off this alcoholism?
The survey, though, does not speak about the reasons for this behavior, but what other literature says is that there are several factors. One could be the family atmosphere. If they see an adult in the family who is also into drinking or substance abuse, they take it that it's an acceptable behavior. Two, peer pressure. When they see their friends or their company into which they are, if they are there, they are just to be part of the group, they accept that. Three, out of curiosity to know what it is. Four, because they feel that when they are tired, because of the nature of the work, they are tired, they are exhausted, they are stressed, they feel they can use this as an excuse to start with it. And once they start, they are not able to stop. Some can stop, some cannot stop. And lastly, one reason which is being again disputed is some research says that they're not fully saying that, but they're saying that it's genetic reasons, which means when if the father is an alcoholic, there are more chances for the children also to be alcoholic, and that's one reason why we keep telling in every group that we do not know what is the gene that is with which your friend is. We do not know what runs in the gene. So don't ever compel your friend to try any kind of substance. And we tell them, don't ever touch drugs, because nowadays we find more than alcoholism among the school students. There is a lot of drug abuse, and very recently from 20th to 28th, we have been meeting, our research team has been interacting with school students as requested by the Chief Education Officer. In fact, we had visited Parikal of Babu coming to one of the schools, and we felt there was a need for doing remedial or after school engagement for the youngsters. So in that context, we met the Chief Education Officer, and luckily for us, we have the opportunity of interacting with around 100 students every day from 20th to 28th of February. Different students from all schools, they were there. Two students from every school plus one teacher. So that way we were able to interact. So the reasons could be many, but these are some of the reasons that are listed. But we say that it is a disease. Alcoholism is a disease. We can't say that you will change overnight. Only in Indian cinema you find the hero saying that he has changed overnight. I think otherwise it's not possible.
I think the hero is also failing. But you know, why I'm very intrigued by what you're saying. We have a problem like this in our own office, and we all very worked up about it because we know that what the kind of pressure it is exerting on the domestic scene, his domestic scene, and there doesn't seem to be any solution. There's no rehab center here.
The rehab center you have is one in Jigma, the addiction center. That's good. If you want.
Yeah, well, you know, when he went to see a doctor, he was told go home, stay home for 10 days and then you'll be fine. That's what the doctor said. And no, this is an addiction. Some addiction has to be broken. And it's very difficult because it requires, first of all, an acceptance of the fact that I'm addicted, that you don't want to look at it. It's a big psychological problem. And so it is. Why I'm saying this is because we are a very united kind of a family here. So it's causing stress on the entire family that one person is suffering. And we are trying to find out a way of how we can help this. But sitting home for 10 days is not going to take anything away. So, I found so many alcoholics and drug addicts going to rehab centers, and by and large coming out exactly the same. They have not been able to break that, unless they fall seriously ill and they have a bad liver and etc. But they can't break it's an unending situation, and it's a situation which is plaguing not only the poor nations, but the rich nations. In fact, the drug problems are more in the rich nations than in the poor nations. Here, poorer can't afford to have this drug. So,
that is precisely why we are focusing on demand reduction. We are not talking about supply. And as you say, the treatment, it has to be supported by the family. It is not enough that only the person gets the treatment. It is also the family that gets counsel. And also we say that the relapse, which as you're saying, they restart drinking, is called relapse. We tell the family that relapse you cannot rule out. You can't expect the person to turn, you leave, and if there is a relapse, how to handle, we train the families also. So it's a big process, but there are people who have come out of it, but it requires a lot of patience.
Thank you very much.
Have any kind of ban on this, like government level?
So that is the government, that is the supply part. We have no control on that. Or that we can...
Supply is uninterrupted. How there can be any restriction on our side? The level of when they cannot understand the illiterate, they do not know anything.
Yeah, we fully agree with you. That is why we are focusing on demand reduction. See, in this scenario also there are people who have chosen not to drink. So we are asking them to come out and speak. You are from the community. You have chosen not to choose, not to do this. So why don't you tell the community how you decided not to choose and how to not to touch this so that others follow you. Instead of we going and saying don't do it. So that technique works. When the community person talks and says, see, I have made a choice not to be this, not to follow this behavior because of these reasons. These are the benefits I have got. Then there is and especially to the youngsters when we do that. So now we are focusing on a very young group that we are working with in the communities. It is challenging, but it is also promising.
See, I think there is a lot of this. From what little I've heard from you, it's absolutely correct to work from the demand side, the demand reduction side, because a lot of this, I think, starts from trying to look cool at a very young age. But even from the supply side, especially in non-alcoholic other substances, with the drugs, there is so easy supply, and there are actually major networks, like including terror. I mean, this is being used as a terror weapon in India. I mean, in Punjab area especially. So across the border, the problem is so complex.
Yes.
But how do you, from Mother Sri Aurobindo's integral holistic development that you were talking about, the influence with the children, right from age 3, 4 onwards, because by the time they're 10, they already have created a network where they can easily get this. It starts with, just ek baar try karo, Smoking, that's how smoking is the most innocent thing, and then from that one cigarette, it goes on and on and on. So how do you work around that? I mean, the friends that they hang out with.
I think especially people come to Pondicherry just to get alcohol.
Exactly. It's so easy supply.
No, the other thing, like talking about, as you rightly pointed out, there are other alternatives. We have to channelize their energy. So one thing is sports. Now there are villages where there are sports clubs run by youth. For instance, Sivarandagam where we are working. There is a sports club and they engage the youth, and when we go all the time they are playing. They have been going to national level sports. People have got jobs because of that, and so the energy is channelized. And when we go, they ask us for career counselling. It's not that we are only talking about substance abuse prevention. So when they asked for career counselling, that was one village. We went for 1 hour program. From 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we went on and on. The families were with us, and they have benefited. This was last year when the project started. Now we asked for a repeat. They asked us to come and give their students career counselling. So I think we need to channelize their energy. Otherwise, it's very difficult. And sports is very other thing. And once that is there, maybe we can take that group as an example. So,
thank you. One more question. You said there's a natural reaction, an adverse reaction of a child seeing his father being, and hence I will not do this. This reaction has been there. Do you find any trend which is particularly, it is a natural deterrent? Is it any trend like this which is working, which is helping to abate the problem? Are people turning away from this?
Yes, I know of doctors, I know of psychiatric social workers, professionals who have made a conscious choice because they have seen their parents in this, and they come and admit it in presence of other students or in the training sessions. They openly admit this and they say, I have made a choice. So I request all of you also to make a choice, and this has really helped.
One thing that we are not doing, and the government is not doing, is to bring about this factor that I will not do it because my father has done it. This factor, like for instance, I don't have this thing, and because you'll get cancer, or don't eat this stuff or the other. This kind of a psychological impact is not being made. That to force a child to see, I will not do because my father has done this. Small films, there's so many small films, the advertisements that you keep on seeing. Half the time you're bothered by these ads, but some of these ads are very good, anti-cancer, this and this. But nothing is being done on this psychological aspect.
Yes, Yes, actually, in our research, this project, we are doing this, and we are terming it as PDL, Positive Deviant Leaders, which means the leaders who have decided to be positively deviant from a social angle. We have started identifying such people from every community, and in the end of March, by when we finish our project, we plan to honor all of these positive deviant leaders. Some of them are very shy to speak up, so we ask whoever is willing, we want to honor them, and also our student peer educators, and make a small film out of this, and we'll see how it goes. This is our plan. This is a meeting we just had this morning, and hope to take this as an example. And as you rightly pointed out, we will take your suggestion into making this project more successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to conclude one thing from this. As you are doing so great research work and have shared so much information on that, in the tourism perspective also, as it is, Pondicherry is known as for weekend destinations and the alcohol rate is very cheap and all these things. Taking that mindset to other tourists, we are trying to make it a week-long destination. We are promoting and encouraging other tourism engagement facilities so that people who come here will experience the cultural heritage and beaches and many other aspects of tourism rather than just enjoying at the weekend. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
This thing of cheap alcohol is not true anymore. It was so years ago when people used to come just to get drunk and go back, cross the border and go back. I knew my friends used to do this, and they were so drunk that they couldn't drive back because anyway. So, but that was a vast difference in the excise duty. That's gone now. It's completely gone. So to say that to come to Pondicherry just to drink cheap alcohol is not true. It's gone. So still, Pondicherry is a destination maybe for other reasons. I think it's not alcohol anymore. So there's one plus factor.
Yes, sir.
That people are still coming here not for cheap alcohol. I think they're coming here for better food, or maybe the ocean, or maybe Sri Aurobindo ashram, or whatever the reason might be. For more higher reasons, I think they're coming to Pondicherry. Certainly not alcohol, I think. Very clear.
I think
Before you go, I think still alcohol is a reason, because what is happening in Tamil Nadu, they sell in the what you call Tasmac or something. So there the quality alcohol is not available. So those who want variety, particularly the better variety, you have lots of options in Pondicherry.
So there's one more reason for this. So how do you get rid of that? No, we should really. We don't want people to come here to drink.
Go for the other kind of spirit, not this kind of spirit.
Yeah. I think requires more psychological advertising. I think we have to do far more. Maybe NGOs have to come forward to make these short films, CSR with CSR support, or some joint effort. We have to really get into this thing, because people have to reject naturally. To see your parents suffer and then you say, no, I'm not going to,
But I think there's also a study which says like one of the reasons why Gujarat has very good economic growth is because of the state ban. It's not that there are no alcoholics or alcoholism is not a problem or people are not drinking despite the ban. But yet that ban also works. So that is also true.
You were mentioning Punjab, for instance. Punjab has always had a problem of plenty. Plenty of money. Plenty of money has led to alcoholism and drugs. That is what happened. And then it triggered off into a huge problem.
Yes.
And so production has dropped and all kinds of things have happened in Punjab because of having too much money.
Right.
A peculiar situation over there. And let's see the reaction. There will be a natural reaction to it, because I don't think there's any rehab center which will do this. There has to be a natural reaction, and the NGOs have to play a role in this. We especially who can contribute much more from the mother's point of view. We have to play a role here.
I think something, Pradipha, we have to start with our own office. Because in our own office, if there are 40 ammas, most of the husbands of our ammas are full of, like, this alcoholic, completely drunk, and they ruin their families. And then most of our ammas are suffering for that, and they want to commit suicide because of that, many ammas. So something if you can start in our own office, you have the possibilities, you can call those people and then.
I had a discussion with the Health Secretary Puducherry, who joined with us the Tamil Heritage Program. So when I went to the Secretariat to invited him, I just said what are the activities the society is doing in the Bal Samskriti project. He mentioned about these critical and challenging aspects, how the disaster, the pathetic situation in the schools. He told about like the students those who study in the 6th and 7th standards, there also alcohol is they're beyond them there.
Yes.
And when we talk about the policies, I just want to say something here. After this post-COVID thing, when this all these bars and wine shops were closed and open, people came, there is no social distancing, nothing else. And when the survey was done, they told they were contributing the national economic, because the Delhi government had no funds to give the salaries to its staffs like that. So this was a real one of the disaster things. The COVID, they destroyed the situations like that. So when we talk about the Puducherry region, especially in the schools, there is a great, very disastrous situations actually. So a lot of things needs to be addressed. I think today's panel discussion started from one of the challenging topics when we do not have a particular balanced environment, how the family culture is destroyed, and you also, madam, pointed out very important aspect, the way the women find a solution to earn some monies through the entrepreneurial activities. I think these are the two challenging aspects you mentioned. And we'd like to listen to Sitaraji because he's doing a lot of women cultural entrepreneurship. I think this is the answer to the second phase of this discussion, please.
Good evening and happy Women's Day to the world. And without whom, without women, I think the world will not exist. So it's like using the tongue to praise the tongue. So honestly, I'm not a big fan of Women's Day. International Women's Day, good thought, but every day is Women's Day. Every day should be Women's Day. And just celebrating one day is like giving a consolation prize or a candy to an upset child who feels a little bit, upset, probably by a guilt-ridden, male-dominated world, who wants to, just praise one day, cheer her up, forgetting the rest of the time the much-deserved recognition that most often women don't get. For millions of women across the world, even in our country, today is just another ordinary day, filled with struggles, filled with all kinds of hardships and challenges. From the womb, from morning till night, it's a fight. A struggle to make the ends meet, struggle to make the family run. So it's just as another ordinary day. So I think maybe on the positive note, a Women's Day is good. Like Hanumanji, we keep forgetting our own power, and somebody needs to remind us in between how great you are. You are very important. You are very important to the world for its running. You are the heart, you are the engine of this whole machinery of the world. We need you. So I think in that aspect, it is good. But we know that she's the very essence of existence. The very bowl of evolution and creation and everything beautiful that we see around in this world. The colors of the holy, the vibrant, beautiful beauty of the flowers of the spring, modes, art, music. We call her Mother Nature for a reason, because she can, the nurturing that she can give. I've never heard it called Father Nature. It's always called Mother Nature. Because nurturing, caring, caring, bearing, everything comes naturally to us. And there is no doubt that we are so busy with our own activities and our struggles that we don't even pause for a minute to recognize those. We don't bother for or wait for any appreciation. We just go on and on and on. And that's the reality on the ground. And coming to that, the beauty of this world lies in its cultural diversity. There is no doubt about it. We are like a beautiful garland with flowers all strung together. We share the same planet, same resources. We might all be different. So if there's one damage to one flower, it ruins the entire garland. So there is cultural erosion, and somewhere it slowly starts seeping into others as well. So that's how important is cultural diversity, and we have started to celebrate it, the diversity of the world in terms of culture. And that's when, within the framework of Sustainable Development Goals, September 2015, UN first used the term culture. So UNESCO calls it a plausible recognition. Culture at the core of Sustainable Development Goals. Placing culture at the center, at the core, at the heart of inclusive development. It's just because economic, social, environmental dimensions of social development, it contributes in a big way. All of this contributes in a big way in safeguarding of our cultural heritage in all dimensions. And by culture, I mean both tangible, what you can see, the heritage, the monuments, everything, and also intangible, art, music, crafts, all come in our. I just want to also point out that across societies, across the world, women are the keepers and carriers of most of the factors and elements of culture. Be it tradition, be it rituals, customs, festivals, it all relies on the women. Mostly, 99% I would say. So the contribution of women in the, the whole picture of cultural diversity, preservation is huge. And just touching upon the Sustainable Development Goals, we have SDG 11, which clearly says that making cities and human settlements more inclusive, more safe, more resilient. And again, the section 4 under SDG 11 clearly says about strengthening efforts to protect and safeguard the world's cultural and heritage, and natural heritage also. I would just like, as somebody working in the handicraft sector with women self-help groups mostly, I just would like to share a recent happening from Sirkari. Sirkari is in Mailaduguri district, a town very close to Nagapattinam. So, 2 temple ponds were filled with water hyacinth. I think you know this weed, very invasive it is. It grows in all water bodies. It's a big headache all over Asia. Anywhere you go, most of the lakes, rivers are these days covered with this weed called water hyacinth. So, an NGO called Thiravu, they had this idea. They are working with the local village women groups. They took up this project, cleaned the water hyacinth, and had this project of making crafts out of it. Bowls, utility items, rugs, all made of water hyacinth crafts. So the project was started. I was personally there to see the excellent results. 15 days project supported by NABARD, and to see the weed transform into something so beautiful. And interestingly, the SDG 17 says social cohesion, which means bringing together individuals in groups for the development of a project from different areas. All over the world, people coming together for the development of a project. Now here again, the trainers came from Assam, because Assam, that belt, very popular for water hyacinth crafts. And they have master trainers there. So they were invited. They were here in Tamil Nadu in Sirgari for 15 days training the women. Now, interestingly, those women who in Assam, they got trained by trainers from Cambodia and Vietnam. Or they are the experts there. You know, they have been into this craft for probably decades together. Now, again, the cultural challenge coming there. Just want to mention about it. In Sirgari, how to get the wheat? The women were again dependent on the men to get into the ponds to pull out the weeds. That was not a challenge in Vietnam or Cambodia. The women were very well versed in using the kayaks and going themselves into the pond and pulling out the weeds. So they were quite self-reliant. They didn't need the help of from A to Z. There was no need of any men getting involved in the whole process. Here again, I will come to that aspect where the culture itself poses as barriers for our progress in becoming entrepreneurs, because somehow our conditioning has been in such a way. So I was telling, why not? Let our women get it. I don't think one challenge for our women is that we are not encouraged to learn swimming, or getting into water is not encouraged somehow. This was a topic in Kerala also after Kerala floods with 64 rivers. Our women and children who are, name any calamity, any riot, any war, any conflict, women and children are in the forefront, bearing the brunt of everything. And when the Kerala floods came, you are standing there helpless. You have water bodies all around you, but you don't know swimming. We never taught our children how to swim. This is a reality, and that was the time when government was thinking of an idea. Probably we should train in schools, ask schools to use the public water works, swimming pools, and teach them at least swimming, life skill, how to cope up with that's how the climate change is coming up these days, that it will suddenly throw floods, suddenly put you in situations where you need to know life skill, the whole direction of education, the need, the coping skill should be in a priority. So here again in Sirgari, the women were waiting for the men to go into the ponds and bring the water hyacinths so that they can do crafting. So that's what I said. But again, the women in Vietnam and Cambodia didn't have that issue. So that way it was much easier. Now again, coming back to something very important for Pondicherry is tourism. And we have started now talking about responsible tourism also. And when we just think about responsible tourism, who should be responsible? Then we talk about the Kerala model of tourism marketing these days, where they've started talking about local communities. You don't transform anything for the sake of tourism. You don't build big monuments, you don't build big infrastructure building. Just show it as it is, where local communities are participating and they are actively involved, and without damaging our heritage areas, our infrastructure, without damaging our basics, that there is a sudden influx of tourists and it is disrupting the locals and their livelihoods, like what we hear happens, we see on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the roads are choked, we don't know what to do, the local residents are upset about it. So the Kerala also recently shifted the thing to responsible tourism. So Pondicherry is also on. Why? Because tourism is a very fast growing sector all around the globe. And 40% of global tourism, if you talk about, it's cultural tourism. And that's why again we have Pondicherry Heritage Festival, where our another goal of sustainable development goal, where inclusive growth through economic growth through crafts and cultural aspects of it, like art, music, where there's participation from artisans, craftsmen, heritage experts, and grow through that. That is also an aspect in sustainable development. So when you look at that, how we can club the tourism, cultural tourism. And if you look at cultural tourism, that is one sector again, a substantial percentage of women are engaged in. Look at all our temples. You'll see the flower vendors, the shopkeepers around the temple. Most of the time we have women associated with it. But I have a small sad thing to share. I don't know whether it's true. The madam from tourism department might be able to help me about it. I recently was looking for a lady tourist guide in Pondicherry. I was told there was just one. I hope I'm wrong. I wanted to believe that I'm wrong. But the lady herself told that I'm the only one and I'm busy on that day because there's a group of students from Kerala who were coming who wanted a lady tourist guide in Pondicherry. So I think this is one sector. Pondicherry is a tourism destination. We need more trained, government-recognized lady tourist guides. It's a sector with a good potential where many women, many educated young girls could be trained. And there are many tourists who come into Pondicherry who like a lady tourist guide. There are ladies coming in groups, there are families, there are couples. Why not? I don't know. I think that is something probably Ministry of Tourism can, if that is the case, we can train more and more women and get them the recognition from the Ministry of Tourism, and they are recognized, government recognized tourist guides who are women. And I'm sure they'll do a brilliant job, no doubt about it. They're good at telling stories.
Only one
That's
guide?
what I'm told, sir.
One woman guide.
One lady tourist guide.
Only one lady.
Yeah.
I think she can answer this question straight away.
Yes, ma'am. When I also got to know that there are very less number of tourists over here in Puducherry, so we are coming up with more programs. There is a government program from the Ministry of Tourism called IITFC, where they can pursue the guide program through online, which will give them certificate. We will be giving them the certificate, and we are also coming up with many programs, seminars, as discussed with Delu ma'am and Pradeep sir. Over here, we are trying to encourage and board them on to get all these courses and train themselves. Many skill development trainings are to be given to the tourist guides, and we are looking forward who are more interested to unemployed youths, women's, those who can come up. We are ready to give them all training guides and many other facilities from the Ministry of Tourism.
Great, I think
Thank you.
looking forward to see more women as tourist guides in Pondicherry. It's a very important that
Yes,
they can
with
also
that
be the
aspect,
ambassadors of Pondicherry.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can. I think, given an option, I would love to have a lady tourist guide because I know that I can ask freely more questions. They won't get irritated with too many questions about a place. They'll be more patient, tolerant to show around, and they'll make good tourist guides. Is what my impression about it. And we should provide opportunity for a proper program, 1-year diploma program, postgraduate diploma in the tourism department is there, and university also. Probably we can give a suggestion to.
Yes, ma'am. There are many institutions, from IITTM, from other universities also, they are providing professional courses to tourist guides. People have to inquire, come forward. There are many opportunities from the government and the right bodies also.
There are many guides, loose cannons. They are not accredited or recognized, and the information that they might give may be totally exaggerated or incorrect.
Yes.
So you go somewhere and when it says Saram Sir, 10 rupees an hour, and he takes you around and tells you all kinds of information which is not correct. So we have a program on the 25th where one of the items taken is sensitizing the tourist guides. Not only authentic tourist guide, but sensitive tourist guide. That is also very, very essential. You get the right kind of information. Because tourist guides can exaggerate tremendously.
Absolutely.
Just to make their livelihood interesting.
Absolutely. This is I think, when we talk about the Sustainable Development Goal number 10, this kind of inclusive and sustainable economic growth through employment and culture and creativity. So, which again comes into our cultural heritage, tourism and employment opportunities in that sector. But then again we talk about maybe there might be reasons why women don't consciously choose to be tourist guides. Like we talk about entrepreneurship, culture can be at the core of economic inclusive growth. Happy that we are taking steps in the right direction, even from the UN. But on the flip side, culture in our context can also be weighing down, the wings, the feet of many women who try to who aspire to grow big, have big dreams, have startups, want to achieve, want to become great entrepreneurs. Perhaps because of the gender stereotyping that happens, social norms in our society, and the gender roles that we assign always to women, that women needs to be doing certain jobs in the house, take care of the family, take care of the elders. So if they have to do anything extra or anything outside, they have to first fulfill all these at home, then do extra jobs. So this work, personal life balance is a Herculean task for most women. Some are successful, some give up in the middle, but it is not an easy task because that's how the programming of our society mostly is, and the cultural younger generation is coming up, but still, it is not easy because then they start pressurizing, especially women, in terms of getting married and then settle down, and so a lot of questions come up here and there, and then they don't know what to prioritize. It's a question of prioritizing what you want now. Is it marriage? Is it work? And she's always forced to make a choice. It may not be necessary in other parts of the world or the developed parts of the world. Here you have to always make a choice, and which is challenging for many women. And these cultural barriers, and that really put pressure. The social stigma. I just remember in Kerala there's a shortage of coconut climbers. On the ground there's a really shortage of coconut climbers. People prefer to cut the coconut trees because there's no availability of coconut climbers in Kerala. So the government, through the women's self-help group called Puducherry, thought of training the young women, giving training to them so that they can learn. And the hybrid varieties of coconuts, these coconut trees are not that tall these days. They are a little shorter. So let's train our women. There was even machinery invented that you can stand on it and it goes up like that with a battery operated, all that. But recently I saw the data that not many takers. I don't know why. Again, the social stigma associated with it. One point of time, auto drivers. We couldn't see that many women auto drivers, but still it's changing slowly. I'm seeing in towns, cities, there are, at least in a stand, maybe one or two have started coming.
Today I saw one in Pondicherry.
Oh, wonderful! So you're on the right track.
Maybe she's the only one, but I saw
maybe.
her.
I think it's
different color.
Yes, white and blue auto.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very nice.
And I think Kerala they paint in pink
Pink
autos.
Yeah.
She autos, right? She autos, she taxis. So this whole thing of the challenges in terms of, and as entrepreneurs, there's no doubt. I personally believe that women make excellent entrepreneurs. They have excellent entrepreneurial skills, multitasking, micro planning, organizational skill, empathy, team leaders. Their style of leadership might be different. They don't want to be at the top of everything all the time, but they like to be like to be at the center of things, which is really important. And I think the private sector, IT sector, they are all recognizing their contribution. Banking sector, you'll see women at the helm of affairs these days in many institutions, which is
leading banks.
Absolutely.
Led by women.
Absolutely. So this is a and the positive.
Ashram is, it was a woman entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that today we are sitting here with a grace and the attention to details, the observation skills, the bringing the beauty and charm to even very ordinary things. I think that comes naturally to women. And I must say, in the handicraft sector, if you really look, last 50 years, from the marbling unit, embroidery unit, the contribution, Pondicherry's contribution to the craft scene in South India has been remarkable, thanks to the divine grace, the mother, I must say that. Even today, it's unmatched. So, there's no doubt, entrepreneurial skills come naturally. Not that men are better entrepreneurs, but just because, they are assigned that role, that you go out, you do the work, you bring money for the family, and she takes care of the children and all that. So to break the barrier and come out, it is challenging, but it is not impossible. So before I conclude, I would like to just tell again true stories from my experience. One is about, her name is Rajalakshmi Nayakam. She's from Alamkuppam. She was working, craft entrepreneur. She was working in one of the Aurobindo units using paper products. She came out, she started in 2012, a small unit with 2 women. Unfortunately, the family pressure from the small village, if she has to sell her wares, she needs to go out and participate in exhibitions, which was a big challenge for her with little children at home, mother-in-law to take care of. So she told me, I'm not coming, madam. There's an exhibition in Chennai. Would you like to take part? No, certainly not. It took her over 10 days of talking, coaxing, all. Finally, we dragged her to the exhibition. And I must say today, after these many years, she has 15 women working under her. She has won many awards. She's an excellent entrepreneur, making newspaper, outside the newspaper craft. And very inspiring, her journey, because she participates now in exhibitions all across the country. Chandigarh to, name it, she's there. And I really appreciate, she can't speak Hindi. Still, how she packs up all her boxes and sends it by courier, she's there, she stays there for 10 days and come back. But she still complains that the family always gives her a bad name, that she's never there for the family, she's never there for her children. Quick to raise those questions and, make her feel bad that she took the choice, she made the choice to, be a successful entrepreneur. Another thing is, second story, it's not a story, it's about this lady from who finished a young engineering graduate from Bangalore, who got married into a zamindar family near Dindivanam. And she came in, she wanted to be a social entrepreneur. She started an embroidery unit in her family home. She opened the doors to all the village women to come in and start learning embroidery. And she was getting orders to do embroidery from a Chennai and Bangalore-based group. The matriarch, the mother-in-law, couldn't tolerate the fact that women from all stratas of the society, of the village, from different caste, class, all are entering her premises. And not to mention, the unit died in no time. And she went back to her IT job. But recently when I met her, she was telling, Ma'am, you remember the unit I started? I still hold that dream in my heart. I said, you will be able to do that. Times have changed. It's already 10 years since then. Probably you should try out in a different place, not in the house. But not everybody is comfortable having such things operational in the house. So I'm just trying to tell you the challenges that women entrepreneurs, when they try to start up things, face. But at the end of the day, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We are all on the right track. There's a lot of awareness these days. Even the men, the family members realize that it's okay for women to work, start up, take up things, new opportunities, new objectives. And she needs to also fulfill her dreams in her own way, chase her dreams, fulfill her passion, whatever she's good at. Let her showcase her talent, which is very important for the world. Like we say, if she is Shakti, I always tell, whenever I talk to women in self-help groups, you need all the 3 Shakti to become a good entrepreneur. You need Ichha Shakti, you need Jnana Shakti, you need Kriya Shakti. It means you need the Ichha to do it, you need the knowledge, the Jnana to do it, you need to implement it also, the Kriya, the power. She gives the power of everything to do. All the 3 Shaktis you need, like it is mentioned in the Rata Sahasranama, that Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, all the Shaktis together, gather in, and just do it. Just go ahead and conquer the world. And there are challenges, there are policies on the paper from the government, there are plenty of schemes. How much is it reaching at the grassroots level is a big question mark. So
I think it was better unity between husband and wife. They will have a very good startup together.
certainly.
Why only women? Together.
Absolutely. If they can make a good team, there's nothing like that.
Better chance of succeeding.
Absolutely. I would like to thank Sri Aurobindo Society, and for this opportunity. And Kishor ji, Charu ji from Ministry of Tourism, Gayatri ji, Narang ji, Amresh Professor Amresh, and Nalini ji, everybody for this wonderful initiative to hold a symposium on such a relevant and significant topic on an important day like this.
I think you have given a better solution to the problems or the challenges which Dr. Nalini ji mentioned. I think her findings will be useful for the project which you are doing.
Yes.
I just like to mention something apart from the tourism sector, because in the cultural sector also, like we came to know that someone won the Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan. Delhi, we have seen all these concerts for more than 12 years. But when we visit the streets, the villages, we find the women artists, those who prepare those beautiful crafts in terms of the paintings, the sculptures, crafts, many things. So we can, through these initiatives, we are very soon we will start out the capacity building programs to give a space for the artists to understand the real spirit of the art. Like you just take the example, like some of the art auctions, the exhibitions, the price of one of the art items is more than 50,000 to 1 lakh.
Yeah.
But there's a hijack, the lack of identity of the artist. They just purchase it within 2,000 to 3,000 and they sell it in different way. So just to give a specific measure to be part of the mainstream, we are planning to start the capacity building program for the artists to give a specific training skills to realize what the skills they have and how they can be part of the art industries and other things. And this is really one of the unique initiatives. And but now comes the question that we have the problems, and the second is we have the solutions like the entrepreneurship. And now we have the next speaker, Rati Rekha ji. I think to do this work in effective manner, to start creative and many things, I think the strength and beauty is needed. So she will be speaking on this.
Can I have a question of you? Can you make a survey as to why people are coming as tourists to Pondicherry? No, it's interesting. As a model, what is drawing people to Pondicherry? If it's not alcohol, what Mr. Samtre was saying was that you get cheap alcohol in Chennai, but you get good alcohol here, hence people flock here. So that means the rich drunkard would come here, the poor drunkard stays in Chennai. No, but the point, I don't think it's alcohol.
No.
So what is drawing people to Pondicherry?
Yes, there are many heritage buildings for Franco-Tamil heritage buildings. For that reason, people are interested to come and visit this place, know more about the culture of the place. And yes, of course, Sri Aurobindo Society, Ashram, AuroBharati also plays a major role. People come here to visit those places and other places like beaches, and to get we get more tourists from the nearby destinations like Chennai, Bangalore, neighboring states. So this is a good destination to make them feel relaxed, rejuvenate with more other tourism aspects.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the vibrations of this town, which is the cause of the Aurobindo. It is the inherent vibrations which people don't realize. It draws them. The peace, you feel good when you come here. The feel good factor.
Yes.
That is what we are missing. That is the real reason why people come here. It is not alcohol, I can assure you. It's not alcohol. It's not a cuisine. Cuisine is available in abundance in very village. Why don't they don't have to come here to eat? Why do they come here? There's something intangible which is working. You should mention this to your Government of India.
Sure, sir.
I would like to add a few points. Actually, before independence, before 1947, all the rest of India, except Pondicherry, ruled by British. But Pondicherry ruled by French. So the neighboring states, the people of neighboring states would like to visit Pondicherry, being a French city and architectural and other things. Also, one of the other point is that we have the Pondicherry, a small India, like miniature India, because we have all the people and other states people also living here. So there is freedom. What we had different from British, French had some special freedom. Similarly, all the rest of India people, that is especially as you said, the neighboring Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Karnataka people used to come over here to enjoy freedom here. And also apart from that, they would like to, because Pondicherry is world's tourist destination because of Aurobindo and Sri Aurobindo fact. And apart from that, as you said, the continental people, the people who are living in Delhi and other local Madurai, people, they would like to visit ocean, that is beach. Because they don't see their beach in their native place. So these are all the other points also to visit tourism apart from alcoholism, I guess.
I would also like to mention one thing here when we talk about implementing the heritage things. We have started 2 projects: the documentation of the heritage sites, the monuments, the sacred sites, the Tibetan sites also. Through these activities, we are trying to connect the community culture, how it was flourished, like how it can be part of the sustainable process, how we can include more tourists to visit those places. So we are in a process to first phase we are documenting those sites. And Pondicherry government is also recently they have listed 114 this heritage buildings. I think 60% of the ashrams and societies building. This is really one of the unique initiatives. So Ratiji, please speak on this.
Heritage building which they don't look after.
Namaste everyone. I thank everybody present here for giving this platform and opportunity. So we are going to dwell on the topic, woman, her strength and beauty. Although the general topic is measuring women's contribution to culture, key factors for achieving sustainable growth. So there are indeed remarkable and innumerable examples as we have already seen and known. And since I do not have a very practical background, I am going to only speak about what Mother has said on women and how culture has played a very significant and key role. So it set me thinking that what culture actually is. Is it a set of rules and guidelines laid by some people? Or was it born? Was it created? What is this culture? So I started, while pondering, I started turning towards the Mother's writing for answers. And I'm going to read what Mother has said on women and how she can have a definite impact and influence on the building of culture. And these are all revelations for a new path, a new beginning, a new creation that she has said. So the Mother says, we are living in an exceptional time, at an exceptional turning point of the world's history. Never before, perhaps, did mankind pass through such a dark period of hatred, bloodshed, and confusion. And at the same time, never had such a strong, such an ardent hope awakened in the hearts of the people. Indeed, if we listen to our heart's voice, we immediately perceive that we are, more or less consciously, waiting for the new reign of justice, of beauty, of harmonious goodwill and fraternity. This seems in complete contradiction what the actual state of the world. But we all know that never is a night so dark as before the dawn. After the bad dreams of the night, the world will awaken to a new consciousness. And for the birth of this new consciousness, Mother Nature has rightfully and dutifully given this task to women. And again from the Mother, we see that each progress of nature, each manifestation of a new capacity and principle upon earth is marked by the appearance of a new species. So by the appearance of the new species, it also builds new races, civilizations, which will be destroyed, which also will be created with a new force, which will impact humanity. And for this form of species meant to manifest the spiritual force capable of transforming the earth's present conditions, this new form, who is to construct if not the women? So the Mother is asking us and is also saying that it entirely lies on women and womanhood to carry on the race and to create the new species of mankind, to dispel all evil and all the darkness will be shunned and the new light will be manifested and is being born. That is the promise that she has given us, and it is up to us to live to it. So she has said, it begins with the conscious creation of a being, with the willed shaping of a soul coming to develop and utilize a new body. The true domain of woman is the spiritual. We forget it, but too often. To bear a child and construct this body almost subconsciously is not enough. The work really commences when, by the power of thought and will, we conceive and create a character capable of manifesting an ideal. First of all, the effect of physical environment was recognized and studied long ago. It is by surrounding women with forms of art and beauty that little by little the ancient Greeks created the exceptionally harmonious race that they were. So among all the ancient civilizations, Greek civilization is considered the foremost for the sustenance of beauty and grace and art. But much before that, it was the Indian civilization that upheld the true spirit, but slowly it diminished and deviated from its very spirit. So now it's up to us to regain the consciousness and to rebuild it with a new form and power. And a very practical example that Mother gives, an intelligent woman with some artistic or philosophical culture, a beginning of conscious individuality, not just for the sake of family or as a gathering, but if she has begun to manifest her individual consciousness, an intelligent woman with some artistic or philosophical culture a beginning of conscious individuality, may aspire that the child she is going to have may be the best possible according to her idea or according to what she has read. So she never wants the sufferings that she has undergone that the child should also bear. She always wants a better future, a better idea for the child that is going to be born. And from the mother's own example, so when she was in Paris, she was walking through the streets of Paris. So she says that every minute you can learn something. Not only can you learn, but I remember, that is the mother remembers once, I was walking in the street. I was just walking in the street. To have had a kind of illumination, because there was a woman walking in front of me, and truly she knew how to walk. It's not something very significant that she has done. She was just, mother saw a woman walking in front of her in a busy street. To have had a kind of illumination, because there was a woman walking in front of me, and truly she knew how to walk. It was lovely. Her movement was magnificent. I saw, and suddenly I saw the whole origin of Greek culture. How all these forms descend towards the world to express beauty, simply because here was a woman who knew how to walk. Suddenly you see a woman walking in front of you. She is like most other women. Her dress has nothing striking about it, but her gait, the way she walked, is remarkable, supple, rhythmic, elegant, harmonious. It catches your attention and you are full of wonder. Then this body, moving along so gracefully, reminds you of all the splendor of ancient Greece and the unparalleled lesson in beauty which its culture gave to the whole world, and you live an unforgettable moment, all that just because of a woman who knows how to walk. So imagine once the child is born, and even when she is being conceived, when the mother has such beautiful thoughts and she imparts it to her child, and how the generations will flourish and how a civilization can change the destiny of the world and universe. So Mother Nature has empowered women with such bounteous beauty. And then Mother's one more example of how just because she saw a woman walk, how the Greek culture she was able to envision. So when Mother was here in Pondicherry, she gives an example. A group of visitors had asked permission to come to me, and one evening they came to the playground. And all of us know how much the mother emphasizes and gives importance for the physical culture, its maintenance and well-being. So a group of visitors had asked permission to come to me, and one evening they came to the playground. They were rich people. That is, they had more money than they needed to live on. Among them, there was a woman in a sari. She was very fat. Her sari was arranged so as to hide her body. As she was bending down to receive my blessings, one corner of the sari came open, uncovering a part of her body, a naked belly, an enormous one. I felt a real shock. Mother is sick, the Divine Mother. I felt a real shock. There are corpulent people who have nothing repugnant about them. But I suddenly saw the perversion, the rottenness that this belly concealed. It was like a huge abscess expressing greed, vice, depraved taste, sordid desire, which finds its satisfaction as no animal would, in grossness and especially in perversity. I saw the perversion of a depraved mind at the service of the lowest appetites. Then all of a sudden, something sprang up from me, a prayer like a Veda, and the Divine Mother is praying to the Universal Mother, to the universal consciousness. O Lord, this is what must disappear. This perverse asura, which is holding all of humanity down. So this must disappear. And this the Divine Mother is praying for all of humanity. The very purpose for which she has taken birth in our sordid mortal soil. This is the prayer that she has for us. That this darkness and perversity must disappear. And she also mentions about the role of women. If women wish to take the place they claim in the governing of nations, they must progress much further in the mastery of self, the broadening of ideas and points of view in intellectual suppleness and oblivion of their sentimental preferences in order to become worthy of the management of public affairs.
Prithvi, sorry to disturb you.
Yes.
Please finish in 5 minutes.
Okay, sure. So we already saw two practical examples given by Madam of how the sentimental preferences takes a major role. So it is true that as soon as great events and works are in question, the custom is to relegate women to a corner with a smile of patronizing contempt, which means, this is not your business. Poor, feeble, futile creatures, and women, submissive, childlike, lazy perhaps, have accepted, at least in many countries, this deplorable state of things. I dare to say that they are wrong. In the life of the future, there shall be no more room for such division, such equilibrium between the masculine and the feminine. The true relation of the two genders or sexes is an equal footing of mutual help and close collaboration. And from now, we must reassume our veritable position, take again our due place and assert our real importance, that of spiritual former and educator. Indeed, some men, perhaps a little vainglorious of their so-called advantages, may despise the apparent weakness of women, although even this exterior weakness is not quite certain. But someone has very rightly said, do what may, the Superman will have to be born of woman. So thank you very much.
I think the feminine consciousness and strength for a pragmatic change in the decisions is one of the unique factors for sustainable growth at the major society. So we have Dr. Sundar Muruganji with us. He will be speaking on the women guardians of family, conservator of the society also. So please share your ideas.
Good evening, everybody. Chairman Pradeep Bhai and Chief Guest Amretji, Gayatri Panda and Tripathy ji, and other dignitaries who are on the dais. Good evening. I would like to conclude my speech exactly within 10 minutes. Don't bother at all. First, let me talk women, the guardian of family and the conservator of the society. Actually, women are also the custodian of the society. Without women, there is no world at all. Actually, the women who are born in this birth were then sphere financed to become a woman in this birth. It is my idea. Actually, the woman is responsible for everything right from birth to death. Without women, there is no culture at all. Actually, long days ago in Sangam literature, I would like to talk about women's cultural process right from in respect of Tamil culture, especially the olden days. Actually, have you all seen Kali? In her hand, you would have seen a trishul. Actually, it is not an arm to the Kali. It was in olden days, a mother in matriarchal society, mother was the one who was working in the agricultural field, especially before. There are 5 tracts are there. Kurinji, Mullai, Marugam, Neidal, Palai in Tamil. Kurinji is the mountain or hill tract it is, where only hunters were there. The male people are hunters and the women used to collect honey and other yam, this and that from the available resources, food materials in the hill or mountains. Mullai is the agricultural field where cattle are fed by men. Men used to take the cattle for them to eat. But the women only used to rearing cattle and collect milk and they are making and selling it out and getting other materials for their life. Similarly, right from agriculture, from the backyard of their homes, they do small agricultural works for which they used to plant millets. For which planting of millets and weeding out the non-plants, they used to use the stem of the branch. The trees. It has three branches. The women used to do all their agricultural works by using that one, by planting, weeding out for all the purposes. That branch only, it looks like Trishul. Now the Kali has that, from that dimension it came over there for our culture, and it looks like the historians say in the cultural perspective, right from birth to death, all the women only transform the culture from birth to death in the society, which will their words are being transformed even now from 2000 years ago. Actually, from birth, they have to sing lullaby to the children, and they have to take care of them by giving nutritious food, and they have to take care for their mother tongue, because mother tongue is called because of the mother right from the 5th month while she was conceived. From 5th month onwards, whatever she thinks and whatever she talks to others, and also whatever she feels, the child in the womb of the mother, the child is hearing out of it and know the language and the feeling and the culture also. After birth, she has to take care of their education also. Bharati Dasan in Tamil Nadu, used to say, Kalvi illada pengal kalar nilam adil pul vilaingidalam nalla pudalvargal vilaivadillai. He used to say in Tamil. What is it called? If a woman is not educated, she will not have the good culture, good practice, good knowledge. If she doesn't have education, she cannot bring up a good child. So culture starts right from birth, and she is giving food, nutritious food, and she is taking care of the child, and she is taking care of the education of the child also. It goes on, the culture goes on. Not only that, in fishing community, all the men used to go away to the ocean to catch fish, and at night or 2-3 nights, and bringing fishes, and they used to give away the fishes to the wives of the fisherman community, and in turn the fisherwoman folk used to take it to the market and sell it out, and they are getting money out of it, and they are looking after the whole family, because all the indirect work is being done by men, and women used to do all the direct works. She is transforming the culture, their forefathers' culture, to the coming community by way of doing other things to the society. From birth to death, if a girl child is getting puberty, it is being celebrated in Tamil culture, and how she has to behave with the society, what dress is to be worn by her, and how she has to move with the other society. It is being taught by the mother, and after she is getting puberty and she studied well and she got a good job and she is married, and after married she is conceived. At the 9th month or 8th month, a function is to be celebrated usually in Tamil culture, and during that time, what food is to be given to the pregnant lady. These things are being followed by a mother. Not only that, if she is suffering by any diseases, the grandmother of a particular family used to give away medicines. Not now. Now we have very good hospitals and doctors, but in olden days, there were no hospitals and there were no doctors, but out of the experience and culture, the aged women of the particular family or a clan, she used to give away medicine, she used to give away advice to the pregnant mother and children and others who are suffering from any diseases like that. Not only that, but while she is begetting the child, there were no doctors during those days. The women, the elder women only, used to look after her and tried all the sort of helps to begetting a child for a lady. This is the way in which the ladies, the women of a particular family, transform the culture from one to another. Say for example, if in India, in Tamil Nadu, in a particular village, if a lady is getting married, she is going to another village or another city, she has to go and follow whatever the culture she followed The same she is following there itself, and she spreads the culture among the other villages. Similarly, if you take in India, there are 20 states. Each and every state has its own uniqueness by all means, by the language, the dress, the food, and other cultural activities. So, if a lady is getting married in Odisha and she comes back to Pondicherry or Tamil Nadu, she has to follow all the procedures, all the cultural activities she followed in her native area, native village, will be spread out throughout where she is living now. Similarly, a person who is living here got married in Delhi. She goes there and spread the culture of Tamil Nadu or other where she is living right from her birth. She will spread the culture where she is living presently. Similarly, by all means, right from birth to death, even in death, some upari is being sung by the woman, not by man. In all the sphere of this culture, only woman used to be the center of sphere by in spreading the culture. So I would like to conclude in this way that without woman there is no world at all. Since even all the reproduction, production are being done by women only. Without women community, there is no male community flourishing by any means. So, as far as culture is concerned, by education, whether it is education or economy or society, social, everything is being looked after by a woman in a family or in a village or in a city or in India or even in the world. Even a person now, at present situation, is living here in India, who goes to America where there is no temples available. But she along with her family and other kids, she is making their culture, their samayam, their God to be there, to make a temple there, and she go and pray, and she asks their parents, their children to follow. In such a way, a woman only, right from through the years till she dies, she used to spread the culture, and by her only now, because every woman used to bring up her child to become a good citizen of India or in the world. If each and every citizen is good citizen, then the whole India will have good culture by all means. There will be no problems as far as alcoholism is concerned. One of the speaker told about that, because if there is no, I recently visited Gujarat where 1 week ago there were ban for alcoholism. However, they used to go away to Rajasthan border to have liquor there. Actually, if there is no liquor is available, no children and no youth will follow it up. They will not go to border of other state. So it is better there. We have to follow. Actually, in Gujarat, Gandhiji born the place. So Gujarat state, the Gandhiji born state. So there is ban for alcohol. Similarly, we can make. However, there is problems as far as Pondicherry is concerned, because Pondicherry's budget is 12,000 crores a year. It means 1,800 crores to 2,000 crores is earned from alcohol. So, if we one fine morning, if we completely ban alcohol, means the whole economy will be spoiled. However, the women are being the sufferers because of alcoholism, by which they used to go for fight. However, we are in the government one way, we are selling the alcohol and we are improving the tourism, and other side we are fighting for stop the alcoholism. So these are all the things available, but however, women are the sufferers by all means. They are only the persons transforming culture through the society by all means, in all perspectives. By them only the they are the women are the only reason for the continuous prevailing of culture in the world. Thank you for giving an opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar Muruganji, for presenting the role of women for preserving a society, the family and the society as well. I would like to mention where that I learned the culture through my mother actually. At the age of 72, she can recite every day. She spent approximately 2 hours to read the scriptures that is written in the Odia script, in the Odia language. So many of the occasions, like festive occasions in Odisha, there we follow a lot of festivals. Like every month there are 10 to 15 small festivals, and when the specific festival comes, we ask our mother, what is the significance of this? She will tell a lot of stories related to this. And every festive occasions we have different kinds of sweets and the foods. So we just I just remind in our childhood to prepare a list that in this day and this month we will get this kind of foods. So when we talk about this women's role in preserving the family's culture and the society, really one of the unique things. And now we have Shwetaji, the director from AuroBharati. She is looking after the integral yoga and mineral activities sessions.
Namaste and good evening, everyone. So as Mrs. Nair very rightly, for me, very rightly said, and it boosted my spirit as well, that she's not a very big fan of Women's Day. Similarly, I really hope that there would come a day when we will not need to celebrate a Men's Day or Women's Day. So this is just my second time and I very consciously keep myself away from talking on Women's Day. I can add until now. The first time when I was undergoing my course in SVSA Bangalore, my yoga teacher training course, and it was a Women's Day, and a teacher decided to let everyone share their ideas and their thoughts about women and on Women's Day. And nothing came in my mind, nothing was coming to me to speak, and I was just listening to everyone. When there came a point where something triggered, something like somebody said, a rose is a rose and a lotus is a lotus. Why women always have to compare with men? They are doing what they can do the best, and men are doing what they can do the best. Not always women can do everything what men are doing, and not men can always try what women are doing. And there was a fire, there was a fight ignited. And then something came to me that why am I here today in this platform? Why am I here in this school of yoga today? Because I had gone through some such reading about Purush, Prakriti, Shiva, Shakti, and the union of both of them, being both of them one, but time to time presenting and projecting themselves as two. And then I spoke up there that I think now is the time that we have to think as one. We need to feel as one. So, I'm thankful to Rati already for bringing up others' mantric words and her force in this platform. And I would like to start with this, where I really felt while reading this that Mother was actually, pleading, it was her prayer, that for God's sake, can't you forget that you're a girl or a boy and try to become a human being? And she says that each idea or systems of ideas is true in its own time and place. But if it tries to be exclusive or to persist, even when its time is over, then it ceases to be true. And I feel, with all my heart, all my gratitude for all these warriors of light that have been working through decades and centuries and are still working for the well-being, welfare and empowering women as well as men. Because when a woman is empowered, a man is empowered. So they are doing their work, and I'm really glad to listen to all the true stories of today. Still, I feel that we have come a long way. We have broken many shells, many norms and conditions, and many such rules and regulations that were forced upon the human beings called women. I'm here with this book because I feel this is the guide for today's women and for the future women that we are going to bring up tomorrow. And I feel on this Women's Day, every woman should have this book and go through this book. I'm just going to share the mother's words only. So here mother says that, here mother has shared a very practical observation of hers, that she says, unfortunately, she's talking about the school, she says, unfortunately we have noticed one thing, as the years pass and the little girls grow up into big girls, suddenly we find that they begin to remember that they are girls, that they must be pretty, they must please, must dress up in a certain special way, put on little affectations to attract attention, and the whole result of our work collapses. Now what work she is talking here about, I feel, and she has actually simplified everything for us. She says that the work, that she's saying we don't want to obey the orders of nature, even if these orders have millions of years of habits behind them. Now when she says habits, we can also call it as samskaras. That we are built up of habits and samskaras. There have been many samskaras we are receiving from our parents, from family members, from society, from our teachers. And we are just carrying it forward. Not sometimes just stopping and stepping back and asking ourselves why. And if at all we ask, then mother sees it, that even if we ask sometime, we get an answer, it is like that only. We just have to follow it. So she says that, and one thing is certain, the argument of nature, she's talking about the Prakriti, when she is opposed to things changing is, it has always been thus. And her mother claims, the Divine Mother, she claims that this is not true. Whether she likes it or not, things change, and a day will come when it will be said, yes, there was a time when it was like that, but now it is different. And I think this different, we all should be looking forward to. Thanking, being grateful for all the past, even the burdens, or the hardships, sufferings, and look forward to this new. So she says that for we are living, what Rati also shared, in an exceptional time at an exceptional turning point of the world's history. Then she says that a new reign is coming, that of the spirit, and after the human is divine. But now it's time to rethink that have we reached to that human part of us or not? Or are we still scattered ones and divided ones? So then she says, what is the role? In today's time, what is the role? Is in the life of the future, there shall be no more room for such division, such disequilibrium between the masculine and the feminine. The true relation of the two sexes is an equal footing of mutual help and close collaboration. And we can see it these days. Women are there in all the fields of work, in all the spheres of life. They are contributing along with men and even the men. And I feel sometimes that men are these days are targeted. Even men I didn't see in my childhood at least so many chefs, so many designers, but now men are also growing in their feminine part, as women are growing in their masculine part. So, from here, the mother guides to the future mothers, what Rati also shared, words of mother for the motherhood. As mother says, what Rati also shared, that the Superman shall be born of woman. Somebody said this to mother and she said, yeah, sure, someone has said it very rightly, she says. But she says the Superman shall be born of women. This is a big, unquestionable truth. But it is not enough to be proud of this truth. We must clearly understand what it means, become aware of the responsibility it creates, and learn to face earnestly the task which is put before us. This task is precisely our most important share in the present worldwide work. And I feel being in the field of yoga and physical yoga, teaching yoga as a yoga teacher, every day I come across parts of mine. It's like a reflection of mine. When women come to me and say, because of the menses, because of this, men will come and say, because of some, all the time they will be sharing their limitations, sometimes strength, sometimes weaknesses, as being a woman only. So I feel it's high time now that how mother says that not looking at ourselves or associating ourselves just as this body, but as the soul, but as the spirit that has to come forth, which has been coming forth through all the warriors. If you can see Rani Lakshmibai or Tarabai, or even in South India, what happened to them? What made them take such decisions and come forth? It was all like a very masculine force which was on forefront, which was taking the mental decisions and also the physical actions. So, going again towards the motherhood and maternity, she says that many means have been suggested, but only a new spiritual influx, creating in man a new consciousness, can overcome the enormous mass of difficulties barring the way of the workers. And the duty, the true duty of maternity, she says, is no longer sufficient to give birth to a being in whom our highest personal ideal is manifested. We must try to find out what is the future type, whose advent nature is planning. Now here I would like to share this because I am also working on prenatal education, and I came across this in one of the scriptures. It is mentioned that we take birth 3 times in the single birth. How is first we take birth in a father's body as a semen. Then second is when it is transferred to the mother's body as the second birth. And the third is only the landing on the earth. It's the third birth. At that time I felt that how beautiful it is that in every man there is a woman, that even man is giving birth. And while he is giving birth, he is nurtured, he is taken care of. While she is about to give birth, she is taken care of, she is not. So both of them are shifting their roles. They are shifting and sharing their responsibilities with each other. So I'll conclude this motherhood part with this, that she says the idea of a spiritual motherhood that now we have to look up to is an eternal truth which has been recognized for ages past both in Europe and Asia. The distinction I have drawn between the physical relation and the psychic and spiritual relation is also not a new invention. It is an idea known and understood, which we have forgotten. everywhere and found to be perfectly plain and simple by all. So, the last thing which I wanted to share, and because these words, this book, this course is my contemplation, is my guiding force, and it's not easy, but yes, this is what we must take up. That she says that no law can liberate women unless they liberate themselves. And she says what makes them slaves is attraction towards the male and its strength, because we tend to look outward. Most of the times our senses are always turned outward, and that's what the dhyana, the meditation, is all about, to make ourselves known to our own strengths and our own capacities. Second, she says desire for home life and its security. I don't know, being a woman, that desire will be there, but I feel if that desire gets the touch, or if it is surrendered or given for a higher purpose, if it is offered for a higher purpose, then the whole of the game will change. Third, she says attachment to motherhood. So when she's telling you how the motherhood, the spiritual motherhood has to be, at the same time she is saying no attachment to motherhood. So that should be for divine, only for the divine, or for the higher purposes, to contribute in the evolution of mankind. She says if they get free of these three slaveries, they will truly be equal to men.
So I don't want to keep it way too long. I just wanted to share a few thoughts, and I think much has been said before already about various aspects related to women, culture and sustainable growth. But I just wanted to bring something in the light of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and sort of in addition to what Rati and Shweta have already expressed so beautifully, that while Mother had given us this beautiful vision of what the future entails, the present is still very gloomy, which means there are serious issues with women's own inner enslavement. This, in addition to the societal pressures that Sitara was talking about, the mother-in-law pressure, the husband pressure, and what have you, the pressure of making a choice. There again, I think we find, as Patty always reminds so convincingly, that we have to look for answers and solutions in Mother Sri Aurobindo also. So in addition to that book that Shweta holds so dear, there is another little book called Nari Katha in Bengali, but it was translated in English under the title About Woman. And it had a series of essays written between 1932 and 1949 from an entirely yogic vision of various issues facing women, or various issues that affect women's lives and experiences by Nalini Gupta. So, as Sri Aurobindo is known to have said, if Nalini doesn't know my yoga, who does? So, if Sri Aurobindo was the supramental yogi, Nalini was just a step below. Nalini was just a step below. So, he, from his yogic vision, has written on so many aspects related to women's lives and realities and their experiences. But if we just take one or two key areas from his essays, I haven't read the original Bengali, of course, I've only read the translation. There are several themes that come up. One is the theme of equality, and one is the theme of freedom. And I've always felt that, as if there has to be an integral model of feminism, it has to be based on what Sri Aurobindo has said in the book The Mother, the 4 aspects of the mother, plus the aspects of the mother that are not yet manifest, the Ananda aspect, the aspect of love, the true Radha power, and all those things. But if we even take Nalini's model, what he highlights, the equality and freedom, if we add 2 more elements to it, the aspect of diversity and harmony, that also makes a very nice kind of like a quadrant way of looking at how true feminism can come about. Because as Mother reminds, the problem of feminism, like all other problems, is essentially a spiritual problem. So what is it that spiritually that we need to work on? So yes, essentially there is one. And Mother also has said from her spiritual realization that what we know as the masculine or the feminine aspect, the Purusha and the Prakriti, she says there is no distinction like that, that one is masculine and one is feminine. It is the man, the human mind which has realized that looks at one as masculine and one as feminine, but the essence of these two principles, one being dynamic and one being static, these are the two poises in which the Brahman manifests. When the Sachidanand chooses to manifest on the relative plane, one is a dynamic aspect, one is a static. We give them one as feminine and one as masculine thing. So essentially there is no difference. Nolinida in this one essay beautifully, he says that if the image, the icon of Harihara is a unique gift of human imagination or human intuitive imagination, the Vishnu and the Shiva coming together, even the greater gift that human intuitive or human spiritual realization has given is the icon of Hari and the Shakti, the Ardhanarishwar aspect. So that is the two becoming one. That is the goal. But on the ground level, as the plane from the Sachidananda, from the plane of highest consciousness, the Brahman keeps coming down, and the falsehood becomes more and more, on the level of plane, the level of matter, life and mind, there is so much falsehood, so much ignorance, so much perversion and distortion enters. There is an actual real problem of gender inequality that comes in. And that, without addressing that, we cannot hope to have any transformed individual or collective life. So those things also have to be addressed. And one of the things in our Indian culture, from a cultural perspective, we have this concept of dharma, right? Dharma that holds together, that sustains, that gives us an ideal law of right living in all parts of our being. And Nolinida so beautifully, like a true feminist scholar, much before there was feminist scholarship in the world, writes, it is the same dharma that has also been responsible for binding women, for keeping women away from discovering their true potential. That Istri dharma, that Patni dharma, that Ma dharma, that Behen dharma, that this dharma, all those choices, all those pressures. So, because with time, Yug dharma has to change. Women have to, our truth, Indian culture's truth has been that the highest dharma is for individual to come to his or her, or its, whatever the pronoun they use these days, true potential. So anything that brings it down is a dharma. So the dharma also, it evolves, it changes with time, and that social cultural evolution aspect. So for example, one of the things Nolinida talks about is there was a time when the ideal of Sahadharmani was defined. That woman is the Patni is the Sahadharmani of husband. No more. Woman has to find her own dharma. He very beautifully challenges that. And it's like, you have little goosebumps reading those things, that there is no reason why we as Indians should feel that we have been, victims, or Indian women especially have been victims, when we've had these people showing us the path. It is just that these things are hidden from us in our curriculum. We are not taught. The only model we are given is this Western way of looking at, women turning into men. One of the things he says, the inner story of the revolt of women is a cry for freedom. Another gem he says, when the soul of India became narrow, that was the day women were the first to be disgraced. In one sentence lies the entire problem of women's realities in India and the entire solution. India's soul has to find It's great. The whole world.
Reaction
He's
of
talking
the-
about, yeah.
The Western women burn the grass.
Yeah, yeah.
All that thing that started.
Right.
It was all just, women were going to jail stories.
Yes, yes. That's the perverted way of feminism.
Yeah, so that was a manifestation of anger.
Yes.
But today the situation is that, which is very capitalist country, the US, the large corporations are headed by women today.
Yeah.
Very successfully.
Well,
That kind of feeling now is evaporating where women come into material success.
but that is also more like a competition, that I can just do as good as a man, or even better than, make more millions of dollars.
It's a fact.
It is a fact that organizational scale, all those things are a fact, but that is also not taking us to the vision that Rati and Shweta so beautifully paint for us through mother's words, because that's where we have to go. These are steps on the way. That's all I would like to add.
The feminine principle, executive force of the silent Brahman, executive force is feminine principle. That is an accepted fact.
Yeah, but mother has, in one of the conversations, she said that she said, my experience is not that it is feminine. It is one force, that's it. I will not say it is feminine or masculine. But at the same time, at the manifestation level, yes. She says because women are better at execution. Yes, yes.
When the silent Brahma decided to manifest, the executive force came.
Yeah.
That is why the nature dancing on shore.
Right.
Chest,
Right.
The whole thing is that really?
Yes. So on that level, yes. So she and
Sadhguru said it very nicely that everything has become economic today. That's why even women making their career, earning money, and in this course we are forgetting what women really are, the beauty and the aesthetic part of the women. We are forgetting all of that. But just bearing a child is such a huge job. If you take it as a task and a job.
The pendulum is swinging to the other direction. So it's like showing off.
Yes.
I can do better.
yeah. So there can be many lines of analysis that can come out of this. But in the interest of the time, I'll just keep it short. It's been way too long, so I'll just conclude. Thank you.
So it was a wonderful evening today. Although many important issues were discussed referring to the scriptures and the changing dynamics as well. And as Pradeep Bhai also mentioned that being one of the institutions, recognized institutions under UNO SOC, we can present our ideas how the pragmatic changes can be done based on spirituality, and a better society can be formed. And with these few words, on behalf of Sri Aurobindo Society, I would like to pay our sincere thanks to all the panelists today for sparing their valuable time and sharing beautiful ideas. It was really a wonderful evening, and with this
about this, what I have entitled Advice for Women. The first one, turn to Mother in all things with faith. Turn to Mother in all things with faith. Offer everything to her, first thing. Second, pray and aspire, not only for your family, but for the whole world. The third one is, the last three are very practical things. Next is, this has to do with where I live in Vaitikupam. There's an empty plot next to my apartment building. People don't put the trash in the bin, they throw it over the wall. Let us not pollute Mother Earth with trash, whether it's in the street or in the yard. And finally, keep your word. Do what you say. Let's keep our word, because Mother said the first thing is sincerity. Let us be sincere in what we say and what we do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and may I just read lines from Savitri? This is from the Adoration of the Divine Mother. And this first line is most important to me. At the head she stands of birth and toil and fate. This sums up woman, okay? She gives the birth, and she's the one who organizes the work.
His lines everybody knows.
Yeah. And there slow round the cycles turn to her call, and alone her hands can change time's dragon face.